So on the left,
No hip turn hardly at all.
yeah, well, that was more than before. I wonder if we did some of this yesterday. Let me try something here. There you go. Alright, so here's what basically your hips are still looking at us.
Yep.
There's a lot of width between your knees, right? Basically, your hips really have done very little.
Nothing.
Your front heel lifted off the ground a little bit, so there's probably a tad more weight on your right leg. And then you see your backswing is, you're pretty flexible. You got your upper body turns pretty good in spite of your lower body not turning at all. So, as far as before and after, now we're looking at the difference. That's huge.
Yeah, that's pointing over here.
Look at your left knee. Anytime your left knee goes in that much, this heel's coming off the ground more, so these hips are turning more backwards. Okay, that's a big difference there. Okay, so there's a picture of what, when I'm sitting there yesterday saying that's great, that's what it looks like. That's what we want. Okay, so what we'd like to see then occur is to see how much your arms get further back behind you a little bit, so you're just more wound up.
Mm-hmm.
So there's going to be a little more speed into the shot because of that. That was a bad impact.
Still looked a little chicken wingy there.
Well, that's because you ran into the ground.
Well, that was that
ground kind of stopped you. All right, so what I want to look at here now is the back view of that, kind of before and after, and see how it influenced, because what we saw on the left here yesterday was how the club came outside of that, over the top, right?
Oh, way over the top, yeah.
And more so with the iron, but that's a little better than the iron. Remember the iron? In fact, the iron is the better example. Or a hybrid, maybe. So there you see how steep that is, and it's way out there. So it's already outside the ball already, right?
Mm-hmm. And you got to come back over it to hit the ball.
Correct. Now, let's just see. Now, we're not working on fixing this, but because your hips turned a little better, let's see if that was beneficial for the swing path. Sometimes, remember, we talked about two things getting fixed at once? And the fact that we were seeing a pretty good ball flight there. See that big old front leg kick? That's good. Means your hips are turning like crazy, right?
Mm-hmm. Still coming over there, though, right?
No? No, the club will always leave this line at the top of the swing because it's going to start facing the target. The key is, does it find that line again coming down?
Coming back down.
Okay. And you see your angle's not as steep there. So it's coming along the line. That's coming from the inside, see? So just the hip turn had something to do with that. I'm not saying it's not a good swing thought for us to hit. Remember, we're using that push to the right drill.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I want that to get ingrained there too. Okay, but basically what we're doing is we're getting more rotation in the backswing with our body, which is getting the club more behind you, whereas here on that little less backswing, see where your hands are here?
Way up and high.
They're up high and they're kind of closer to your head because your hips didn't turn. I can't even see a hip turn here, right? Look at the hip turn here.
Yeah.
Look how your hands are deeper behind you now, which that's the path you want to come
Promotes the
from.
inside.
Correct. So we're using two different length clubs here, but so what we're seeing here is the shaft. See how steep that is? That's just going to come out and over. This one shallows out a little bit, and you're more on a better path. Okay, so the forward swing still has to do with getting the club coming from the proper path, but what we've learned here is the hip turn is going to give you a better chance of doing that anyway.
Mm-hmm. So like twofer, yeah.
Sometimes that can happen. It's not magic. You got to be, you got to keep an eye on it, and that doesn't mean you can't come over the top with a good hip turn. But so that's good stuff for us to see. And we saw an immediate difference in shot quality yesterday at the end of the day.
Oh my God,
it was huge. So let's see how this thought process. Now today for the iron part, we're going to actually get into the bottom of the swing. Mm-hmm. Talk about that a little bit and see what two of these things might be helping that too. Wouldn't that be great? So if, the less segments we have, the better.
Yeah.
But whatever we decide on how many there are, they always got to be worked on individually. That's the key. That's the discipline for the player to have a practice that has good intent and has good, an organized practice. Mm-hmm. Instead of trying to do 8 things at once. One, and in your case, you've been more of a field player, so you've had very little of that swing thought stuff, right? So we're actually adding information now, so we got to be careful about trying to do too much. I like to keep you as more field player. That's why we did the drill that was based on what we saw the ball do, and you reacted to that with feel. I said, hit it to the right, and when you hit it to the right, you come inside.
Perfectly. Yeah.
It's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
So sometimes people can't do that. They need more help. I got to move them. I got to teach them more. You did fine. So we're on the right track.